have fought very firmly.
Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
Atn covers it all.
You're welcome back, and I am your host, Raymond Ken Mbata. On the show today, by popular demand, from the halls of political education, I bring to you my professor, Pat Obiene, a political analyst of repute, and he is here to dissect and really open up the discussions we have for you today. Keep your pen and your paper close by. Keep your recording devices because you will need them. You're welcome, sir, to Atn Politics once again.
Very well, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, sir.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure, sir.
Good evening to our viewers.
Yes. All right, let's race straight into the first line of discussions. ISEC, ahead of the forthcoming local government elections slated for September 21st across the 27 local government areas in the state, the Imo State Independent Electoral Commission, ISEC, has assured the residents of Imo State of a free, fair, and peaceful exercise. The chairman of the commission, Charles Ejogu, gave the assurance while addressing participants during a stakeholders meeting on how to achieve a credible election. Ejogu said that the forthcoming polls will be the fifth time such an exercise has taken place in the state since the re-enthronement of democratic governance in 1999. Previous elections held in 1999, 2004, 2010, and 2018. The ICAC was one democratic elements at the grassroots. He stated that following the law establishing the commission in 2000, as amended in Law Number 14, ISEC is empowered with the responsibilities of conducting and supervising free, transparent, and credible local government council elections in the state. Yes, sir. We are having a present political calculations towards overriding the powers of the state independent electoral commissions to allow for INEC to host elections wherever in Nigeria. Do you support that move for the national body to be in charge of all elections, or let the states also be decentralized as such to have their own electoral bodies, sir?
Well, in two ways I will look at it. First, even the INEC you're looking at, last time here I think I made attempts to point out its deficiency.
Exactly.
When we look at the principle, the core values of a democratic society.
Yes, sir.
And to that extent, if we want to dwell first, if you look at the acronym INEC, first I, independent.
Yeah.
Let's take just the I, independent. And in reality, what do we have? You have a system, you are the incumbent president. And many a times happen to be a contestant.
Yes.
Appoints the umpire.
Umpire.
You see?
Yes.
To that extent, it defeats the intention or the actual meaning of having that structure being independent. I went ahead last time to tell you, when you have that, he does the appointment, he is in charge of the finances, at the same time, Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces.
Exactly.
They also have a key strategic role on what happens in the field.
Yes.
To that extent, we can no longer say that that body can guarantee free, fair, and transparent. So you see, before the argument now of saying, let's scrap the state's own structures and make the national, there is a primary question to be addressed, that even the national structure, how democratic has it been able to discharge its functions?
Exactly.
When you look at the conditions surrounding its creation, its existence, and its performances. So for me, it's not jumping to say, yes, the deficiencies happen in the state. Then we can now move forward to look at, Yes, the state. What is the fear? It's been believed, which is materially not different from what happens at the center. You know, last time here I pointed out that the seeming difference like you have in Abia State is what I call the people's power.
Yes.
That is one exception when you find the INEC conduct a general election, nationwide election, you find certain states being able, the party governing that state being able to retain a win against the forces of the federal government that appoints the umpire. That clearly will tell you a whole lot of factors plays out. It's either the governor there is able to meet the demand of the, or he was able to meet the popular saying that the highest bidder, so to speak. So now, if you want to look at the RESEC of scrapping and replacing, that's also, to that extent, you see a semblance. The fear that the governor appoints the SEC, the state electoral body chairman.
Yes.
He does the finances. He also has some considerable measure of control of the security apparatus. You see? So, for me, I think the argument should center on, first of all, maybe we should just imitate the model of the South African society, which is like part of what the very great ANC struggled for over 87 years. Because by 1990, when Mandela stepped at the prison gate, they had struggled for 87 years against the force of apartheid. And the central demand was a non-racial and a South African, a democratic South Africa. And part of that democratic South Africa they were looking at was to have an electoral system that is devoid of interference by any force, stakeholder, or interest. So that everybody goes out on a level playing field. But here, in one breath, we freely make the expression, oh, now you celebrate democracy. But the structures, the institutions that will actually dish out the dividends, which is, first of all, the people coming to an election with a heart of guarantee that the umpire will not be influenced by any external element. Nigerians don't go out with that confidence. Because just by the mere name, it tells you, well, there is a great influence from the man who does the appointment.
Why is there hesitation on the part of the powers that be to let the electoral bodies...
It's because you're not popular. Remember, we've always insisted, popular participation is one key ingredient in a democratic society. That's why you can hear us commonly say, go and test your popularity. Majority should have their way, minority have their say. So if you're popular, you don't need any influence, you don't need any external persuasion of the people. And for me, like I was sharing with the prof earlier today in somewhere, I said, people are talking about leadership. I think we should not just look at leadership, we should look at the quality of the leader. Prof quickly reminded me of the philosopher King by Plato. You know, that it doesn't mean he should be a wise man, but that the people surrounding him, he's able to listen to wise counsel. So these guys are afraid because, first of all, they don't have the characteristics, first, to respect what majority of the people want or what they are saying. So they know if they go to elections, because the majority are the ones that will actually, the votes of the majority is what will determine the winner. So they need a hatchet man. They need somebody they can dictate the tune to. So, and it's an age-long problem in Nigeria. So it's not a question of bringing the INEC. We should first of all talk about debates, like, with due respect, just a wise electoral reform. After I recall with Blessed Yaradua, blessed memory, on the day of his first inaugural swearing-in speech, we saw everybody, which is a very instructive statement people refer to. Where the opening line of that speech, he admitted that he understands that the processes that brought him on board were quite faulty and not very nice. That gave birth to just a wise electoral reform. Till now, that report is gathering dust. Rather than the subsequent government to adhere, in fact, that report also resolved that what I've just explained should happen. That, first of all, the processes that appoints the INEC leadership and the structure should be devoid of those in power. And we've refused to listen to that. So how is it you now want to jump, you try to produce, okay, the state INEC electoral bodies are controlled by, but that's exactly what's happening at the center. Exactly. So that's why they too want to stick to their guns. Yeah. So as a people, these are some of the things why I'm tempted, some of us are trying to launch a program. Calling back, this, we should have a policy where these lawmakers retire back to your constituency. Let us engage you in a debate. Good. Let the people be seen and to say, look, we have identified that this is where the problem is coming from. Let us not go to elections with suspicion. Yeah. And those who are privileged to the public treasury takes advantage to suppress and undermine the will of the people. Exactly. Hence, you find every election, whether federal or state, in the mornings there is a seeming calmness. As he's going towards the evenings, you now find the security forces wielding guns and chasing electorates and cutting away. That kind of primitive arrangement. But that's what happens in the field. Yes. So if we, as a people, admit and we're really interested in promoting and sustaining democratic values, we should again critically look at our electioneering organs and processes. Look at, for example, even the 2022 Electoral Act under President Buhari. You saw how the lawmakers, merely they realized certain sections that doesn't favor. You saw those who are already there, first timers, and those who want to return. Exactly. They hurriedly met against it. They want to amend it. Exactly. Little did they know that some of the creations is more like shooting their foot. Now, even the section that gave INEC to say electronic transmission of result, and we had a professor, for that matter, who at Chatham House granted a World Press Conference timeously that in the middle of it, he changed. Yes. When they went to court, the court said that section is discretionary. Exactly. Is that last time I told you, when the law is not predictable, it's useless. Exactly. And how then it raises the question of credibility. If the umpire now acts based on discretion. Yeah. So discretion, that means in the field, the direction is not favoring the powers that be. So the umpire has the option to apply discretion of saying, let me apply certain elements to twist the process to favor. That cannot be a free, fair, and credible election. So that is a problem for me. So it's an opportunity. Those who are raising the question of, for me, I think that's secondary. If the same way we can address the national question, which is the way the INEC is structured and the processes and sponsorship, we can replicate that. It's all about black and white. It's all about policy. So if you do that, the system itself can check whoever governor that thinks that he can use his state electoral body to favor his interest. It's not going to work. Exactly. Because the strongest army you can think of is the will of the people. Exactly. So let us either go and dust up just a wise electoral reform that made very salient and reasonable resolutions that touches on the participation of the people. For example, now you want to ask me, okay, what's the possible option? There are those who have been serving over years. You can throw people from even POs, polling unit officers, and what have you, throw them like opinion poll. Get a purely independent organization to draw an opinion poll. Good. And at the end of the day, that poll will produce certain names. They will go another one to say, okay, among these names that have been thrown up, who becomes the INEC chairman? Oh, good. You've dealt with that. You go ahead to look at the finances. Is either they get their funds from first line charge. You shouldn't have to do anything. That's why you find a situation where I say, we are writing to the president to supplement our budget. Exactly. Meanwhile, the man you're writing to is a contestant. It's a contestant. It's a party to it. Then it's worse off at the state level. Exactly. Exactly. The state level, in fact, sometimes you don't even need the state assembly. The governor just does everything. Yeah. So it's a very fundamental problem we cannot continue to pretend over and expect to get positive results year after year, election after year, when we don't. And the greatest danger in tolerating this very uncivilized and undemocratic electoral process is that it keeps throwing up the wrong leaders. And great minds have argued that no matter the name of Nigerian problem, it has been traced to the rise and fall of leadership. Yes. And like today I'm adding, that is not just leadership, the quality of the leader. Quality of leadership, yes. So those who think it's just, because if you just talk about leaders and we see people now, the reason why we're getting, you can't give what you don't have. Exactly. People who can conduct themselves in public spaces with great sense of dignity and discipline. It means they lack quality. Yeah. So it's not just because they can demonstrate courage to lead. You don't have the willingness to conduct yourself in adherence with the law, the rule of law. You have a problem with quality.
Yeah.
You don't have the passion, the empathy to listen to what from whom the consumer itself derives his powers. You don't want to listen to them. You see public office as a means of amassing wealth. That also is the motivation why they want the electoral umpire to be at their beck and call.
All right.
So you can see the factors why they wouldn't want a democratic process where, first of all, the personnel that operate as umpires enjoy a sense of independence. How do they get their finances? How do you control the security operatives that will... In fact, we appear to be the only democratic society during okay, let me take the national election. You hear something like, we have deployed 50,000 army, Air Force. You begin, like I told you last time here, River said I was privileged. You go to some of the candidates' houses during election, you will find riot-looking, well-fed police officers with guns outnumber the actual voters. You begin to ask. And somebody reminded the other day that, okay, I said, look, it appears there is a fusion between the military and the civilian authority. That is like we still have the military calling the shots in Nigeria. Otherwise, why would I go to cast my civic duty? I'm faced with the barrel of the gun. So it's because we don't have confidence on the electoral umpire. Right? Yes. Now, look at the... to tell you why it is serious, to look at this democratic organ. Now, you're announcing dates. You want to conduct these elections. Last time I pointed out to you that it's part of INEC's legal responsibility to look at how the parties fund their campaigns. Exactly. How they conduct their primaries. What we find in Nigeria is this commando style. 11th hour, you just hear lists, the media will report, say so candidates have been thrown up. Exactly. INEC will not come forth according to the Electoral Act to say, yes, we were there on ground to supervise these primaries. We've been able to evaluate how much they spend in accordance with the provision of the law. So many times you find just one person, like at the local government election level now, you find the governor doing all the spendings. Very true. So if you continue to tolerate these anti-democratic elements, factors, anti-people, unconstitutional, you can never by any means produce free, fair, and credible elections.
Oh, very well put out there, sir. That it begins from the selection process of the umpire himself.
The sponsorship, the finances.
Exactly.
Who determines the movement of the security forces? Is it a situation where you have the IG saying, withdraw all police officers from VIPs, but in the middle of the game, you suddenly find certain, in fact, that day you expect limited movement of vehicles. Yeah. But suddenly while you're monitoring, if you monitor elections, you see certain persons, the same instruction that says withdraw, you see escorting certain persons. Exactly. That alone had suppressed what you call free. It's no longer free. Yeah. Or credible. Exactly. You see? So that's a major challenge. So these are the issues to deal with. Now, what's the level of sensitization? Now you see, there is no mention of, except if we go into the details, encouraging the voters to go get their cards. How ready are their cards? Is it only on the national elections you talk about setting dates for people to go and collect their PVCs? Now even this one, what is going to be the yardstick? Are you going to act differently from INEC that says there will be an electronic transmission of result? I didn't hear any mention of that. So these are some concerns I have, because if that doesn't happen, then it means we're operating double standards. Okay, sir, let's key in this story. Let me see what your opinion will be on this story. The Ondo State High Court, sitting in Akure, has annulled the creation of 33 local council development areas by the administration of the late former governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu. Presiding Judge Justice A.O. Adebusoye declared that the creation of the LCDAs was unconstitutional and illegal. This is an attempt, just as our present president, when he was in the seats in Lagos State, attempted to create
more local
He
government.
actually did.
Yes.
No, not local governments. This same
Local
formation.
council
Yes,
development
yes,
areas, yes.
yes.
But the intention was for it to have the
Metamorphose
semblance,
to,
yes,
local
of a local government area. Although the Olusegun Obasanjo administration then did not give him the required support that he requested for. And I think one of his proteges, Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, has also replicated same while he was alive in Ondo State. But we are getting a report now that the courts have shut it down. The courts have declared it unconstitutional and illegal. But there is that need for creation of more local government areas in order for development and governance to affect the grassroots. The core of the grassroots is where the need for change and development is more needed. And is it that it is not right for us to request for creation of local governments, or is it that the Constitution has something that it is trying to prevent?
Well, I think two ways again. As a matter of principle, well, blessed memory, due respect, he was a SAN.
Yes.
And he was, by his training, he ought to know better. But I think I'll give it to him, because if you look at the Constitution, Section 7 and relevant sections that talk about the State Assembly having powers to make laws that govern local governments.
Exactly.
I think that's where he drew his authority from. Okay. And don't forget that even in the case of the current president, Tinubu, and when he was the governor in Lagos State, that created the crisis between himself and Chief Obasanjo.
Yes.
I recall this is an high court, so I'm optimistic that if the Ondo State appeals against this,
okay,
the higher courts may draw authority from the Lagos State experience, because
okay,
in the end, the Lagos State government under Tinubu, as he then was, had victory. Why, when late Yaradua, blessed memory, took over from Obasanjo, he now remitted all the funds that Obasanjo withheld,
okay,
against Lagos State,
exactly,
under Tinubu. I think the courts upheld that there was nothing wrong.
Okay, but is the LCDA now in Lagos State being funded by the
of course
federal
yeah,
accounts?
that is by no, not directly. It is when you receive what comes to the state. That's why I'm saying
originally
yes.
created
yes,
local
there is a social and moral angle to the intention.
Okay.
But first, let's establish that the law gives states, the local government. So I'm sorry, the state of assemblies. You, of course, depending on who initiates the bill, either from the governor or even a member.
Okay.
So when it empowers the state assembly to say you can regulate local government affairs, it implies that it also means that the state assembly, in collaboration with the executive, could say, this is our intention, we desire this to happen. Let's expand the political space. Because part of, like you rightly observed, the original intention of these things, just like we have to assist it, which I encourage, like some people calling for regional, I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah.
We need, let there be more states to create political space for people to participate.
Exactly.
And maybe the more concise we are, we'll be able to manage developments, in our immediate environment. So that's the social intention.
Okay.
So to that extent, till the higher court says otherwise, for me, that gives it some legality.
Okay.
Because you can't impugn what the interpretation of when the Constitution says the state assemblies can regulate the affairs of the local government.
Yeah.
That implies that they can go ahead to create something similar.
Something similar.
Similar or even smaller to what exists. Now, the moral aspect to it, even socioeconomic aspect, is before you do this, have you checked your coffers?
Exactly.
Are you self-sufficient enough to sustain? Because even the LGAs that exist, like we still have across Nigeria, there is a problem of underdevelopment.
Yes.
Two factors again. One is either monies are allocated, the characters, because of the poor quality of the operators, they consume them like python to the detriment of majority of the rural dwellers.
Exactly.
So it is either it's different that there is no funds funds are made available. You know that even the constitution goes ahead to spell out functions of, I think under Schedule 7 or so, functions of the local government.
Yes.
But these days, what we have is that because they are the mercy of the state governors tend to dictate and limit them to very few functions.
Exactly.
It is they themselves, in turn, according to the character of the local government chairman or whatever the case may be, begins to do what they like. Like in Rivers State, for example, you find in the past, governor will say, just deal on sanitation, security, just many times it's not more than 3 items.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And you release allocation that is more than enough to take care of other items. It's like a building of cemeteries, maintaining abattoirs, you know, obtaining licenses from certain objects and all that.
Exactly.
These things don't happen. Build market. Do you know it's even the function of the local government to construct roads?
To construct roads?
Yes, particularly internal roads. It's there. It's only in this generation you find the governor celebrating himself over. In the past, I'm one very strong critic. I don't get excited about it because that's the function of a local government. And so imagine if the constitution deliberately includes roads. It means that the allocations that goes to local governments are expected to be reasonable.
Exactly.
You know?
Yes.
So that's another angle, the sensation that might greet this kind of attempt.
Okay.
Did you, are you in a, is your financial muscle sufficient enough to sustain, not just creating them because you want to expand political space to make people vote for you in turn. Some of them, that's the intention.
Exactly.
You
create
know?
more wards and units.
But at the level it is, I'm sure I can't remember blessed memory knows your onions was a very brilliant lawyer.
Yes.
Of course, we must give that to him.
Yes.
So I think that the Lagos State experience is a relevant authority that if they appeal, the courts can depend on to say it was right in Lagos, so it couldn't have been wrong in Ondo State.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir. We have been talking to Pat Obiene, a political analyst of no mean repute, a very, very analytical. I lack words to be able to express it because I wish he was my neighbor. I will disturb him every day to give his input on daily occurrences and daily things that come up in the political atmosphere of Nigeria. But we will take a little break for water, and when we come back, we'll discuss more. Stay tuned.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought a very family.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on Atn Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
on the point of order.
Honorable
on them. They are not picking our cause. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Driver, why you just jack us up and down like this now?
I hope nobody carry belle.
Why you ask, oh?
Because this road where they see, so it no guarantee safe delivery.
We just dey vote for government, but we not get good governance.
At all.
Road so e no dey, light o usai, the infrastructure nko e come turn to be forbidden fruit for the city.
Corruption, spoil everything. Hello?
Hello, madam. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mrs. Ayeni. I am calling from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs.
Okay. Okay, I've been expecting your call.
Madam, remove this your phone from loudspeaker.
Now my phone be like that. Hello?
Are you there?
I hear, I'm hearing you.
Yes. We saw a copy of your invoice for computers, printers, and laptops.
Yes. Are you working on them now?
Ma, the prices you quoted are way too high now.
Madam, sorry, please don't cost.
We found the laptop you said is 1.8 million naira for 600,000 naira.
Hello?
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what they blood.
I have fought a very...
Glad to have you back on ATN Politics on Atlantic Television Network. We have been here with Pat Obiene, a political analyst and a philosopher of repute. We will be taking the next story for discussions today. A member of the House of Representatives for Ondo State's Oke Igbole Oluji Odigbo Federal Constituency, Honorable Festus Adefi-Ranye, has lamented that too much demands being made on lawmakers by constituents. He said lawmakers cannot cope with these demands, urging the constituents to be considerate. Adefi-Ranye, who was in the Ondo State House of Assembly from 2019 to 2023, spoke in an interview. Sir.
Yes, please.
Although this has not been on the front burner, but it's a salient issue nonetheless. Why is there so much burden on political office holders in the legislature and the executive, maybe not so much on the judiciary, but the executive and the legislative arms, both in the state and the national? In fact, the higher up, the more demands.
Clearly, it's because they have failed to create alternative means of livelihood to the people. That also underscores in my earlier submission, I told you the need, the Democrats to bring them retiring back to the constituency. They had refused to do that. That's, in fact, one manifestation of the people actually participating. A dancer does not see his back.
Exactly.
So you come, you are representing me. As a member of the constituents, I'm able to recognize the economic advantage. But I don't have the wherewithal, I don't have the governmental support to exploit it to the greater benefits. I don't need calling you, my mom is sick, give me this, my daughter's school fees. I can see multiple economic, in their raw state. For example, I come from a coastline and I identify fishing trawler. That's as a constituent. I said, okay, I'm able to do a market survey. Well, just to, I'd see 30 days and back, not just to boost local consumption and sales, we can even go beyond River State. Exactly. For example. Now, if you're my lawmaker at the federal level, you need to collaborate with the states, the person, because, for example, now some of them have, depending on the size of that state. So you could have 3 LGs under one federal house or a member.
Exactly.
By constitutional provision, every state has 3 senators.
Yes.
So that one also depends on the size of LGs. It's only Bayelsa has 8 LGs, but the same 3 senators.
Yes.
For example, now Akwa Ibom over 32 states, local governments.
Yes.
So you have over 10 LGs under one senator in Akwa Ibom, right?
Yes.
So he's even bigger than the Bayelsa State governor. That is dealing with eight LGAs as a state. Raymond, begin to imagine members of these 10 LGAs. Even here, River State I can cite. It's only the River Southeast that has 7 LGAs. The other 2 senatorial districts has 8 LGAs. Since 1999 till date, there is no record. There is no media reports anywhere that they have been seen in a town hall meeting, interfacing with members of Congress who can suggest to say, why do you think they are not intelligent? Why do you undermine their capacity to think of alternatives? So that before the next budget, you'll be able to stand on the floor because you are our representative to make a case, to say, my people have identified this. And I think that much finance should be committed to this area. If that happens, it's going to take care of a sustainable XYZ.
Exactly.
You don't know it all. Again, that's the philosopher King theory. They put up a posture as in fact, the fear is that why is it complaining? It's because that is like the Machiavelli's theory that the end justifies the means. They feel they don't owe the people anything. And that primitive mentality of thinking that is about handouts, window dressing. Don't worry, it's still like go to the next burial at the village or wedding ceremony or one chieftain hair. At that point, I can just
there was this lawmaker in Kano.
I can just share some money.
There was a lawmaker in Kano that bought burial shrouds and calabashes used for burial.
So that's the only time you see the people. Honorable, don't come. Okay, I may help tell us, Mama, they sick. Okay, finger feet. That is not the expectation. There are economic advantages situated in this constituency. What is needed was come, take a date, let us engage you so that you are better equipped. When you go back to the floor of the house, you can, that's why you have budget defense.
Exactly.
You have their special committees. What is the input you make there? Which of them have we seen? Most times if you don't watch, you see their seats vacant.
Exactly.
They become lazy just because their own allocations are very enormous. Don't you see why they can comfortably receive over 160 million naira car? You see?
Exactly.
And you're complaining that the pressure is too much on you. Then the part of that fund is enough to establish cottage industries.
Yes.
If you don't, and that's the problem. Get a system that the people in turn can also explain. You are their servant. They can also, whatever they make out of it, if you are so interested, since you want everything for yourself, you don't want to lack money, that's a business venture. Whatever they generate, you can agree black and white with them. They set aside something for you.
Oh, good.
So it's a win-win thing.
It's a win-win.
First, you're free from that nuisance around you, that's over-dependency, which is not even natural. Are they your slaves? In the first place, you're supposed to be accountable to them.
Yes.
You're the servants.
You are the servants.
They are your masters.
Very
so
true.
you're supposed to comfort and let the masters dictate, tell you how you should serve, the areas you should, the direction of your service. You don't want to do that. Why? You feel their vote doesn't matter because you know how you got there. No, I'm tempted to say so because if you're actually a product of their votes, the natural sequence will be that you will reciprocate.
Exactly.
You will not have any, you will come freely, mingle and relax with them with the support, not burial, not burial time, or wedding ceremony, or chieftaincy title, or naming ceremony. No. The civic duty, the constitutional and democratic duty, that social contract, the ability to exercise the performance of the social contract, which is, let me go listen to my people. Perhaps I am in Abuja, I may not remember, or even if I know I was once a village boy, I grew up in the country, but right now I'm in a new environment. I can't readily remember all those viable economic advantages. So let me retire back. Let me tell them I'll be coming. Let them nominate themselves from different stakeholders, women, youth, traditional, come, the industry, entrepreneurs in that area, come. Then, as you take your pen, you note. That is exactly what they need, not what they want. That's what they need.
That's what they need.
That's economic security. So imagine that you will be happier. You sit back and you're getting reports. With this venture, over 1,000 people are working, and this is what we generate weekly and monthly. You see yourself very proud. You don't even need any security agent to escort you back home.
Exactly.
They themselves will provide the security. From as you touch down from your craft, you see them happily, everybody protecting you. But why the question I'm asking, why do you hate that? Why do you so hate it? What is difficult about creating that kind of synergy? So that's why he's complaining is useless. He's even indicting himself. Yeah. Because that shows that you are not interested in going back to the people.
Exactly.
There is no land within the Nigerian geographical space that is not blessed. Like we've argued even in terms of these mineral resources. Abuja itself, there has over 9 mineral resources. Yes. They need the soil. Here we have the advantage of ocean economy. Assuming this lawmaker is from this area.
Yes.
I'm sure if we go on, though, of course, is known for a whole lot is happening there.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
In fact, it's also a coastal area. I know the Arugbo area, which you consult, where you have our jaws.
Yes.
That's the coastal settlement.
Exactly.
So it is the failure to fall back to the people, allow them pour out their understanding of how the local economy works. Yours is to use the instrumentality of government to empower them. If it is a matter of policy, even for example, okay, they need a license. XYZ can come together, we want to know it, but we understand it is a federal law that regulates the processes of getting a trawler license and whatever. That's your job.
Yes.
You approach the relevant agency or departments of the private. Okay, this is what my people. Of course, don't forget you must have argued that at the budget level.
Yeah, definitely.
But we don't see. You see, I'm happy these kind of things are coming out. That is to justify what some of us have been agitating all these years. That he's indicting himself. It's a confirmation that this man, this whoever is, has not been able to go close to his people and understand the advantage they have. Assist them.
In fact, he's looking for reasons to stay away from the people.
And he doesn't even know it's implicated because in the first place, are you supposed to be giving a handout?
No.
Your job is go use you are occupying their collective authority.
Yes.
And they understand that there is a whole lot they can do. You can use your government's money, get investors. Your own is, you are bereaved of the practical economy, so come back, they will remind you.
Yeah.
Perhaps you have great buyers, not just go. There are some resources at the local levels that foreign buyers are eager to buy. But the local people don't have, they don't know how to go about it.
Yeah, yeah.
And you yourself, you don't know, you are privileged. Get the experts together, assist them get the experts. All these allowances and all manner of allowance you consume for yourself, can't you set aside something there? In fact, particularly that one you collect that is called consumer allowance.
Yes.
That should be the function.
Sir, let's add this. Let's add this up so that you also talk. You also talk to the authorities that be concerning this matter. The People's Redemption Party has accused President Bola Tinubu and his appointees of deliberately promoting policies to destroy the Nigerian economy. That's a strong one. A statement issued on Thursday by the national chairman of the PRP, Falalu Bello, said the current situation in the country calls for concerns as ordinary citizens we are going through tough times. Bello noted that the unplanned removal of subsidies on fuel and electricity as well as the devaluation of the naira has truncated the economy and has made life difficult for Nigerians. Do they have a point there? Is the allegation true per se?
No, that's not the question now. The practical reality out there is sufficient evidence to...
Because why I said so is because every opposition party wants to always play the devil's advocate.
Every opposition party wants to play the opposition to the core. So I don't want to take it with an iota of salt without at least dissecting it to see if they were really playing to the gallery.
No, not to this one. The difference is how much they can sustain this kind of interrogation. You know, last time I pointed it, that's supposed to be their function. I told you the kind of what Serap is doing is what is expected of opposition parties.
Very true, sir.
So I'm even happy for the first time I can hear this group coming out to interrogate. First of all, let's start with they need to interrogate unpopular policies. So it's not unfounded allegation.
So the removal of subsidies on petrol and electricity.
It was wrong here. What subsidy is even removed? Are you not aware that it has found its way back into their pockets?
Okay, sir, but
because like you know,
they denied
the current volume
it.
of fuel we've been
denied
using since after he said that subsidy. Which refinery can you point at locally that produces it?
Yeah, very true.
It's not still imported.
It's imported, sir.
So how did you what's the name of the? It's like fella, great fella will always say they use grammar dabaru the people. Nothing has said. The thing has found its way back, and people are milking a lot.
Are we tied to the apron strings of IMF and the World Bank?
It's obvious. See, it is that policy from beginning was wrong-headed.
So that's because we want to always borrow from them. That's why we follow their policies.
Because first of all, you're dependent on the mono economy. Are you aware of the 103 billion you borrowed from Afrexim Bank?
Yeah, Afrexim Bank. Yes.
Are you not aware of the source to pay back? Just from one commodity.
Oh.
That is economic injustice of the highest order. A 36-state federation, you go borrow money that you want to use to address issues in the 36 states, and your payback source is only from one region and from one commodity. Are you normal? Is that not suicidal? And look at, even the crude itself, expert had told us last time, the crude itself you're over-dependent on has over 6,000 byproducts. Even these ones you're importing and spending so much money, the kerosene, okay, look at it. When last did you buy gas station kerosene? You're depending on the AK Ekpo fire.
Exactly.
So all that you've been spending subsidy on is just PMS and limited diesel and jet A fuel for aircrafts. That one now too is even having short supply.
Exactly.
So big question. What happens to the other 590 something byproducts? Is that not why you are this wicked? Whereas these are things that if you must borrow, it is to set up related industries that can go ahead to explore these other byproducts for other use. Look at even the last time I was also somewhere, this kernel palm fruits, we get palm oil from. I was shocked to hear that all that you can get from crude oil can also be gotten from palm oil.
Wow. That's
imagine how wicked
that's
we are.
That's very
You can imagine how wicked we are.
Whoa.
The chaff of that palm thing, the iron is used for brake pads. When you squeeze, you extract the oil, that chaff you want to throw away. I hear it's also, it has economic value.
Whoa.
So look at the chain value. That's just another commodity entirely from even agriculture.
Yes.
So why this just depending one off? Let's just sell the crude. Then you become so cruel to us. So that is what has happened. And your local spending, you said to promote the use of dollar. That's why the naira is suffocating.
Yes. Yes.
They as political class go to their daily spending, whether it is hotel, whether it is logistics. It is not naira they actually spend. Whether they go for a political meeting where they want to give people hampers to go home or logistics, they give in dollars, in foreign currency, within the Nigerian economy. That is like going to America and you walk into a deposit bank and you're asking for naira. Is it possible?
No, it's not possible.
But that's what they've come to promote here. If you go drive around Port Harcourt, you see an increase of the black market dollar dispensers. As a Port Harcourt boy, way back, we can rarely count. We know.
Yes.
In fact, you have to be very careful to even find one person that does the change.
Exactly.
Now look at openly they go around Jerry. Find, in fact, they're almost a community now.
Ubiquitous everywhere. In fact,
so
they solicit.
Tells you the direction. So a combination of one, you get little from even the only commodity you depend on. Then you look at your currency that circulates. You use foreign currency to furnish your daily spending. Your cost of government is very high.
Yes.
Just few of you want to have so much to yourself to the detriment. A combination of all this, you cannot bring policy that can address. Look at school, those who run the education system, parents are at their mercy now. There is no government regulation. Are you not aware how federal universities and school therefore is increasing school fees anyhow?
Exactly.
From those that will send their words, where do they work? How much is their income? Electricity and all that. So you're not humble, you're not courageous enough to first deal with the fundamental demon, which is there even two. Your attitude to government spending. You borrow on a one-off, you spend it on recurrent. You don't plunge it into something that is regenerative.
Yes.
Something that's regenerative is the profitable type that need borrowing.
Yeah.
For example, now you have an LNG here. Yet, cooking gas now is going for over 1,000 plus.
Exactly.
A sensitive leadership and government will say, we have advantage of exporting. So, the people around, the locals, Nigeria don't need to buy, the cost doesn't need to be too high. We need to collaborate with the same establishment to say, can you create a sub-depot around the country that can dispense cooking gas? So let there be a competition between the government-owned investment and private people who also want to, just like we have some of them around that are selling that over 1,000 plus now for a kg. That's a classical example.
Exactly.
So if I spend less on gas and I keep the rest to address hospital bills, medical bills, and whatever, I'll begin to say I can say this government thinks about me.
Exactly.
Now this one, I'm almost like a government to myself. I'm afraid of medical bill I can no longer afford. The school fees is almost zero. Food prices is like now people no longer have choice.
Exactly.
It's either you're eating one particular food 3 times a day. That's where we are right now. You know, you can't trust the electricity supply. It's getting higher. So why wouldn't what is the real policy that the people can give the people some sense of belonging?
Exactly.
And we are saying that's why all this speech he made. Look at him, he admitted. He admitted in this Democracy Day speech.
Yes.
I was on another program, and I said, but you didn't go further to say you are willing, your government is willing and ready to do away with the over-dependence on crude oil. You didn't go ahead to say that. You lack the courage. And statistics available is sufficient enough to say that if today you make a nationwide broadcast to say, we are no longer dependent on crude oil, let us now allow the letters and spirit of federalism, which is every state, begin to produce.
Exactly.
In fact, that is the permanent cure.
That is the permanent cure.
The permanent solution to economic rights freedom. So that your functions as government are limited.
Yes.
Now, in the circumstance, you take 87%. That's why I see there is so much there they use to suppress and abuse and brutalize us. Look at what is your function as a central government. So these are the fundamental arguments that should preoccupy the debate. That let us pressure them, that we have identified that why there can't be any economic policy that will leave the people out of this economic hardship is that there is overdependence. The cost of running the government is out of this world.
Exactly.
A situation where one minister will have routine or PAs that have nothing to do. Governors will have routine or PAs that have nothing to do. House of Rep members, imagine 360 plus 109 senators.
Oh.
Just their numbers alone, imagine how much for themselves as individuals. Let alone, you look at the number of PAs attached to each of. So imagine, I don't know mathematics. So if you combine 360, 109 times the number of PAs they have, they are all depending on crude oil money.
No.
So as long as these factors exist, I'm afraid it's going to be a mileage.
No.
In fact, we don't need crop of leaders that has extraordinary courage to, before they commence government, create a freedom charter like I told you last time.
Yes.
That will start with addressing these obnoxious federal laws and return the federation, the federal system, back to the component states. That's just the quick way we can be out of this.
We have been speaking to Pat Obiene, a political analyst that I'm not ever tired of listening to. And we believe that we are going to get him back to these studios same time in the future. For me, I have been trying to practicalize in my own little space the propositions and propoundments that he has put forward. I think you should do the same. From the studios of Atlantic Television Network, I am Raymond Ken Mbata saying this is a wrap. And continue to look into our Facebook and YouTube to get more information. Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1. On Twitter or X, Atlantic TV Net, or watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching.
Family, natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.